My request, Mr. Unnikrishnan, Managing Director, Saint-Gobain, and the other dignitaries to take their place on the dais for the valedictory session. Mr. Arun Maira, Mr. H K Agarwal, Mr. Suresh Raman, Mr. Mahalingam, and Group Captain Vijayakumar. May I request all of you to come and take your place on the dais for the valedictory session, please. Mr. Unnikrishnan is the Managing Director, Saint-Gobain India Private Limited. May I now have his AV, please?
Mr. A R Unnikrishnan, Managing Director of Saint-Gobain India Private Limited, starting his career with Grindwell Group, which later became a Saint-Gobain company. Unnikrishnan worked closely with the Saint-Gobain Group in 1997 to develop strategic blueprint for Saint-Gobain's investment in India in the glass business. He played a pivotal role in Saint-Gobain's Glass India's journey to market leadership in a short period of time, state-of-art manufacturing, impeccable quality, and trusted brand building. With rich experience of over 20 years in the glass industry, Unnikrishnan now is the Managing Director of Saint-Gobain India Private Limited, glass business. Apart from his professional role at Saint-Gobain, he is a thought leader across various fora in the areas of sustainability and regulations.
May I now invite Mr. Unnikrishnan to deliver the welcome address.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. In the Madras Management Association, the key word is really management. And when you talk about managing a team, a project, an organization, we say normally first you have to tell why something has to be done, then how it has to be done, and finally what has to be done. I think today's annual convention is a classic example of that. The opening session, the inaugural session that we had two fantastic speakers, Mr. Jaydev Brar from McKinsey and the Honorable Member of Parliament, Mr. Premachandran. They spoke about the why part of growth, and more importantly, the sustainable and inclusive growth. Maybe two different facets of, or two different viewpoints. And the rest of the sessions, the three sessions that we had on energy independence, self-reliance, and how to get it done, actually took us through the how and what part of a sustainable and inclusive growth. Now we have come to the valedictory function, and I'm sure this is going to be the icing on the cake. And it is indeed my great pleasure and privilege to welcome our distinguished guest for this evening, Mr. H K Agarwal, Managing Director of Grasim Industries and Business Director of Pulp and Fibre, Aditya Birla Group, and Mr. Arun Maira, thought leader and author, former member of Planning Commission of India and former chairman of BCG. Thank you, both gentlemen, for being here in the valedictory function. We know that despite your challenging schedules, you have took out the time for Madras Management Association. I would also like to welcome all the delegates, all the invitees, the proud winners of MMA's 26th competition on young managers, which was conducted as a prelude to the convention, members of the media, all the other delegates, and my colleagues from the management committee. Thank you and most welcome to the valedictory function. Thank you.
Mr. Arun Maira is the former member of Planning Commission of India and Chairman, Boston Consulting Group. Former, may I request his AV, please?
Mr. Arun Maira is a management consultant and former member of Planning Commission of India. He is also former India chairman of Boston Consulting Group. He was part of the Tata Administrative Services for 25 years and worked at various important positions in Tata Group till 1989. Mr. Maira received his MSc and BSc in physics from St. Stephen's College, Delhi University.
It is my privilege inviting Mr. Arun Maira to deliver the keynote address, please.
Mr. Unnikrishnan, Mr. Agarwal, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I thank the Madras Management Association very much for giving me the honor to speak with you this evening on India's century, how to drive sustainable and inclusive growth. We've heard earlier today a good reason why this must be India's century. We are 140 crore persons, the largest by population country in the world. But that's not enough reason for the world to make it our century. We have to make it our century ourselves. This afternoon, I listened to and learned from two very rich discussions amongst people who are making India a country that we all can be proud of and the world is beginning to recognize. I started taking notes in my book, pages after pages of insights and thoughts that I got. So much that my ball pen ran out of ink and I had to step across and ask Captain Vijayakumar to please loan me his pen. And there's still some ink left in this one and some pages in my book. So the subject is India's century, how to drive sustainable and inclusive growth. At the outset, let me put some facts on the table. I'm going to compare some vital statistics of the world's two largest economies, that's the US and China, and the world's two largest democracies, that's India and the United States. Firstly, their populations. India and China have around 1.4 billion humans each living in them. The US, with 330 million, has around 1/4 of India's and China's populations. Compare their land areas. China is 9.7 million square kilometers. The US, only a tad smaller, is 9.4 million square kilometers. India is much smaller, 3.3 million square kilometers compared to them only. Thus, Indians have only 1/3 as much land as Chinese have and 1/12 what US citizens have. Therefore, Indian citizens must husband their land and water resources with much greater care than US and Chinese citizens. Now let's compare the sizes of the three countries' economies in 2022. The US was $21 trillion, China 15 trillion, and India only 2.7 trillion. China has come into the same league as the US, and the Indian economy is far behind, 1/7 the size of the US's and less than 1/5 the size of China's. It wasn't always like this. Let's go back to 1990. Then the US economy was $6 trillion. China was only $396 billion. And India, a little less than China, $326 billion. Per capita incomes in China and India were comparable then. Now incomes in China are 5 times higher than in India. Chinese citizens are much better off than Indians. India's pattern of growth must change. Growth must be much more inclusive to raise the income levels of all Indian citizens, not only those at the top. Also, it must be more environmentally sustainable. Assessments of the growth patterns in 2011-12 revealed that the growth of the Indian economy, though amongst the fastest in the world then, as now, was the least environmentally sustainable and the least inclusive. The growth of countries in Southeast Asia, South Asia, and BRICS were compared using the International Sustainable Economic Development Assessment Framework called CEDA. It measures growth along 3 tracks: economic growth, inclusion in growth, and environmental sustainability. The assessment revealed that with every unit of GDP growth, India's natural environment was being damaged more than in all other countries. Groundwater levels were dropping fastest in India, soil quality was degrading, and Indian cities were the most polluted. Every unit of India's growth was also producing the least number of additional jobs compared to all these countries. This is an ominous warning. With its vast population of young people who were expected to provide a demographic dividend to India's growth, the economy must generate jobs for them, because unless they are employed and earn sufficiently, they will not provide the required boost to consumption and savings. The warnings, however, since then were not heeded. 10 years later, slow growth of farmers' incomes and unemployment and underemployment have become the Achilles heel of Indian economy. Sadly, as I said, the warnings from CEDA were not heeded. The paradigm of first, more economic growth, and then we will see how to redistribute its benefits has continued. More capitalism, less socialism. This was the global economic paradigm, and our economists have followed along. After the global financial crisis in 2008, when millions of citizens in the US and Europe lost their homes and their livelihoods, policymakers vowed never again. A few lifeboats were put out. However, the Titanic did not change course. The furniture on the upper deck was plushed up, and inequalities within countries increased even further. Then came the even larger COVID crisis. While millions lost their livelihoods, stock markets boomed. In 2008, a high-level international commission chaired by Nobel laureate economist Michael Spence brought together 22 policymakers, academics, and business leaders to examine various aspects of economic growth and development. Monte Ahluwalia, Deputy Chairman of India's Planning Commission, was a member. It published its growth report in 2009. Spence, presenting the findings in New Delhi, said the prevalent market liberal economic theories explained how to make economic growth faster. They don't explain how to make growth inclusive at the same time. Thus, the theory of first increase the pie and then wait for the trickle down continues. India must adopt a new strategy that inclusion happens much faster along with faster growth. India also needs a competitive strategy, a competitive growth strategy to catch up with countries who are ahead of it. A good competition strategy must be based on the resource that a corporation or a country has more of than its competitors. If a country sits on large petroleum resources, its national strategy must be founded on the use of hydrocarbon and petroleum resources for growth. Indeed, this is how Saudi Arabia has become very wealthy. It has world scale and world-class petroleum refining and petrochemical industries. A country with larger copper and mineral resources than other countries can build its economy on the strengths of its mineral extraction and process industries, as Chile has. What is the resource India has more of than any other country in the world? It is young people. India's growth strategy must be founded on the employment of larger numbers of human beings in its economic enterprises. They are abundant, willing to work, and willing to learn. A large population of people seeking employment can be India's assets. They can provide Indian enterprises a competitive advantage. However, in conventional corporate accounting, human beings do not even figure on the asset side of the register, along with other assets like buildings and machinery. Human beings are accounted for on the cost and income side to be used only when required for production. The values of all assets on the balance sheet depreciate over time, and accounting law requires that companies report the depreciation of their assets' values. Human beings are unusual assets. They are the only assets whose value can increase over time. Human beings have an ability to learn and to improve their own capabilities, provided, of course, they're enabled to. Not only can human beings improve their own capabilities, they can also improve the performance of the company's machines and efficiency in the use of other materials if they are motivated to. Thus, human beings are the only appreciating assets any company has and a country has. Japan does not have petroleum, mineral, or chemical resources. Despite this, Japanese companies in many industries became world beaters because they made Japanese workers their competitive advantage. In 2013, the Planning Commission asked Bain and Company to look at the HR strategies of Indian companies spread across several industries and several regions of the country. Companies were separated roughly into two categories. Category A were those who considered their employees as assets and invested in them. For Category B companies, employees were costs. Category B companies demanded more flexibility in labor laws. They employed larger number of workers through contractors to reduce their own costs. They spent less on training too. Bain compared the financial performance of companies in the same industry and in the same region so that no external factors would vitiate the comparison. They found that Category A companies had more sustained and stronger growth in revenues and profits than Category B companies. A dictum of management is that you manage what you measure. Productivity is a central concept in national and company economics. Productivity is the ratio of an input and an output, a measure of how much input is required to produce the desired output. The output is the numerator and the input is the denominator. And there are two ways to improve the productivity ratio. The easier way is to reduce the quantity of the denominator. The more difficult way is to keep the denominator constant and yet produce more output. The most important productivity ratio any manager should be concerned with is how to get the most output from the scarcest or most expensive resource that the enterprise has. A universal practice in corporate as well as national accounting is to measure productivity as output per unit of labor. This presumes that human labor is the scarcest resource and that it should be substituted by other resources such as capital. However, labor is the most abundant resource India has and the least utilized, unfortunately, whereas financial capital is relatively scarce. Therefore, the productivity of the Indian economy should be measured by how many good jobs each unit of financial capital produces. Companies too should re-examine their strategies for global competitiveness. Value the potential of Indian people, engage them, nurture them, care for them. They will be your competitive advantage. Nurturing Indian citizens as appreciating assets, not as burdens, will make India's growth more inclusive and faster too. The entire world needs, and India too, a new paradigm of progress founded on three pillars: people, planet, and profit. People are not merely resources for profit. Let us turn to environmental sustainability. In the drive for faster economic growth, we are building more man-made infrastructure, more roads, more dams, more ports, more urban infrastructure. In the process, we are damaging the infrastructure nature provides for taking care of itself and of us too. Land is flattened and water bodies are covered to build more modern urban infrastructure. The consequences is both diminishing water resources as well as floods that overwhelm cities. And here in Chennai, you experience it. Mountain slopes are cut to build roads and towns. The consequence is landslides that destroy property and lives. River sand is mined for urban construction, and rivers change course and flood. Breakwaters to build ports are causing beaches to erode, pulling down buildings along the shore. The economic activity for altering nature's infrastructure, the cutting of slopes, the leveling of land, the filling of water bodies, etc., adds to GDP. Adding man-designed and man-built concrete and steel infrastructure on top adds even more to GDP. Finally, even activities for clearing the rubble after disasters and rescuing people add to GDP. GDP keeps going up with modern man-made infrastructure while nature's infrastructure is destroyed. People, planet, and profit represent three forms of capital: human capital, natural capital, and financial capital. In the economy, financial capital prevails. People are resources to create more financial capital. Nature's capital, its soil, minerals, water, and vegetation are also resources to be extracted and exploited to produce more profit for financial capital. Some business lobbies are changing people, planet, and profit to people, planet, and prosperity. Under prosperity, they put technology, business, and market economics. They seem to have hijacked the meaning of prosperity, leaving out the thriving of human beings and nature from the concept of prosperity. Francis Bacon, a founder of the European Scientific Enlightenment, said that science and technology has given man the power to put order into unruly nature. Science and technology have advanced too far ahead of wisdom. Now nature is fighting back against our human hubris. We should be seeking more wisdom and less technology to save the world. We must learn again that the minds of humans are a small part of a very complex natural system. The system sustains us. We cannot, with our small minds, redesign that system. The sciences have advanced greatly since the 17th century by breaking out into silos of knowledge. As medical science has advanced, specialists know more and more about less and less of the human body. As the social sciences have advanced, they have split into economics, sociology, and political science, and many subspecialties amongst them. Humanity has lost the ability for enlightened systems thinking, the ability to understand the whole, of which each of us is only a part. The global agenda for saving people, planet, and profits is being driven by experts in their disciplines, each within their scientific silos. Climate scientists, which research the physics of climate change, they have located carbon in the atmosphere as the physical cause. They advocate technologies to reduce carbon emissions. Economists and business managers are experts in methods for increasing and deploying financial capital to produce more profit and more GDP. Those who care principally for the well-being of human beings, like social scientists and some of us HR people, seem to have our own sciences. The experts in their separate disciplines do not understand each other's jargon. In fact, they don't even like each other because they fear that the others are interfering in their solutions. They are in different political formations with different ideologies: socialists, environmentalists, and capitalists. The world needs a paradigm shift for solving the systemic problems of increasing inequities, continuing climate change, and collapsing global financial and trade systems. These problems are interrelated. They cannot be solved separately. Top-down universal solutions will not work because these problems take different shapes in different parts of the world. A universal solution for reducing carbon, for example, will make problems of poverty and inequity worse in many places during the transitions. Designs of social security systems must be based on the shapes of local economies. The world needs a new paradigm for solving systemic problems to solve the interrelated problems of people, planet, and profit, which have been caused by the wrong theory of economic growth. We need local system solutions cooperatively implemented by and within communities. We need to listen to each other within our communities and in our countries with respect for each other. By listening to other points of view, we will be able to understand our own realities, and we will learn what we must improve together to make the world better for everyone. The world is being divided into fragments by narrow national and narrow domestic walls. Social media is poisoning our minds against our own neighbors. We must learn to listen, especially to people who we think are not like us. Then only will we learn to live in harmony. I will end with a simple but powerful solution. It is a poem on listening. It is time to press the pause button, put our smartphones on silent, shut out the tweets, trolls, and sound bites, and stop the windmills in our minds. It is time to listen. To listen to the whispers in the trees, to the caring in our hearts, and most of all, to the voices of people not like us. Then we will learn and find solutions for living together on our shared earth. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Maira, for your insightful address and ending it with a fantastic poem. I now invite Group Captain Vijayakumar, Executive Director MMA, to brief the delegates and announce the awards of MMA Young Managers Competition.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Madras Management Association has been organizing the MMA competition for young managers annually since year 1996. The competition is held every year as a prelude to the MMA annual convention on the same theme of the convention and is restricted to young managers below the age of 40 years. The MMA competition for young managers is a platform for young managers to exhibit their talent and leadership skills and thereby win recognition for the potential to exceed and excel, and also recognition for the organization which they represent. The competition provides a unique opportunity to young managers to demonstrate their knowledge, creativity, experience, and professional prowess to become leaders of tomorrow. The competition for this year was held on 17th of Feb as a prelude to the MMA convention on the theme of the convention, India's Century, How to Drive Sustainable Inclusive Growth. About 70 young managers participated in the competition from different organizations, different corporates, and the panel of judges from the corporates, management professionals evaluate the both written presentation as well as the team selected to select the winners who will be receiving the awards today. May I now request Mr. Agarwal and Mr. Arun Maira and other dignitaries to step forward and do the honor of presenting the award to the winners of the 26th MMA competition for young managers.
I'll read out the names of the winners. I request you all to come and receive your awards from the guests of the day. And I also request the audience to applaud and encourage the award winners. Let me start with the runners-up, comprising the team Jyotsna, Shravanti, Parthasarathi, and Narmada. Jyotsna, Shravanti, Parthasarathi, and Narmada from TCS. They are the runners-up of the 26th Young Managers Competition. Ladies and gentlemen, a great show by this team, and they deserve a very, very good round of applause. Thank you. Thank you, team from TCS. And now the winning team from Saint-Gobain, Ms. Ramya, Ms. Shreya V, Ms. Saranya Malia. May I request the winning team to... Ladies and gentlemen, this is the team from Saint-Gobain, Ms. Ramya, Shreya, and Saranya Mala. As you can see, this is an all-woman team. And now, for the best young manager of the year 2023, picked out from all the participants in the competition is Ms. Rama Ipili from Indian Oil Corporation Limited. A big round of applause to Ms. Rama Ipili from Indian Oil Corporation. Thank you, Mr. Agarwal and Mr. Arun Maira, for honoring the award winners. I'm sure these are the moments that they will cherish throughout their life. Mr. H K Agarwal is the Managing Director, Grasim Industries Ltd. May I have his AV, please?
Mr. H K Agarwal is the Managing Director of Grasim Industries Ltd, a flagship company of the Aditya Birla Group. He is also the Business Director of Birla Cellulose, the group's global pulp and fiber business. He is also Director of Aditya Birla Management Corp Private Limited, the apex body that provides strategic direction and vision to group companies. Over the past 4 decades, Mr. Agarwal has held leadership positions in the group's cement, chemicals, advanced materials, and pulp and fiber businesses. He received the Chairman's Outstanding Leader Award and the Certificate of Excellence for his outstanding contribution to Grasim's growth.
It is indeed my privilege to invite Mr. H K Agarwal to deliver the valedictory address.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Arun Maira, Mr. Suresh Raman, Mr. Mahalingam, Mr. Unnikrishnan, Group Captain R. Vijayakumar, other dignitaries, and ladies and gentlemen. It's great to be back in Chennai. Vanakkam. I have a deep personal connect with Tamil Nadu. I spent 2 formative years of my career in this state almost 38 years ago. More significantly, at personal level, I was blessed with the joy of parenthood during my stint in Tamil Nadu. And therefore, I never miss any opportunity to be back here. Thank you to the management, Madras Management Association, for this honor and opportunity to address this August gathering. I would like to congratulate all the young managers and award winners. As a cohort, you represent not just the present, but also the future of India INC. So it is heartening to see the enthusiasm and intelligence shining through. Today's event has given some wonderful and insightful speaker sessions. India's leaders and management gurus have shared their perspectives on the opportunities and challenges that await India in her century of growth. I believe this discourse on the nature of economic growth is as inspiring as it is critical. As we face the future, we need to take a deeper look at the work around us, the world beyond our ecosystems. Let us consider some broad strokes of economic history. The humanity has lived through agricultural revolution, industrial revolution, all the stages 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and now we are transitioning towards Industry 4.0, the digital revolution. Some even call it Instagram revolution. It is likely that we are on the verge of an AI revolution. We will soon have AI models like ChatGPT and Bard available as AI as a service. The shape of Industry 5.0 is unimaginable. So let us examine what humanity as a whole has gained in the last 2-3 centuries. We have seen tremendous progress and development in terms of improved working conditions, longer lifespans, urban infrastructure, modern conveniences in almost all walks of life. However, this rapid economic progress has been accompanied by rising inequality and huge environmental impact. The progress has not been universal and holistic, if I may use this word. This is partly because we have become conditioned to the idea of progress being resource-centric and consumption-centric. The world changes short-term goals and gains measured as annual GDP or quarterly PAT. These have become the overarching markers of progress and prosperity instead of looking at the longer arc of human progress and finding a metric that measures sustainable, inclusive, and equitable growth. And if we look at our business strategies, they haven't changed drastically either. We still talk about profit and growth maximization and competitive one-upmanship. So what is needed is to re-examine and reimagine our models of economic growth. We could explore a new kind of capitalistic construct, one that is modeled not just on economic growth, but also on human centricity. Instead of the next industrial revolution, we could imagine a quality of life revolution, an economic framework that its core is inclusive and sustainable. Let us step back a little further in the history to about 2 millennia ago. That was a period when the Indian sphere of influence was at a peak. Some studies claim that India accounted for a quarter of the global GDP. There was a cultural and economic value chain that linked Europe and Asia through India. Indian art and architectural influences can be found across the world, whether it is at the Angkor Wat or the ancient statues of Rome. Ancient India was exporter of textiles, spices, and gems. It was also a fountainhead of ideas, which spread around the world. The precepts of Buddhism, intercontinental trade, the game of chess, ancient universities and libraries. I could go on and on. So I ask, does India have a world-changing idea that can make a difference today? Can India offer the healing touch to this fractured world? Let us consider one of our key beliefs, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The world is one family. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam guides us to find solutions that work for all, that transcend the boundaries of nations, societies, and businesses. This is a powerful concept that is highly relevant in this age of global supply chain and climate breakdowns. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam can help us reimagine a new economic framework, one which is intrinsically sustainable and inclusive. COVID showed us how interlinked the world is in terms of value chains. It also showed us the power of global collaboration. Government, academia, public sector, private sector, all came together to vaccinate nearly 70% of the global population. 13 billion doses of the COVID vaccine have been administered globally in a relatively short span of time. These global challenges underscore the need for a model that is based on the premise of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. It makes sustainability and inclusivity a must-have rather than good to have. It also encapsulates powerful ideas of tolerance and peace, equity and inclusion. It suggests a human-centric path to progress. This India-inspired philosophy may well hold answers to our challenges. India currently is in a position where we are connected to and heard by the world. Whether it is G20 or the Quad, India is in an unprecedented position of influence. Our diaspora are in positions of authority around the world. It is clear that the Indian origin techies are contributing to the Revolution 4.0. If India can demonstrate an economic model based on Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world will surely take note. And we are already seeing it at play on several fronts. Technology has enabled the democratization of development on an unprecedented scale. Take the case of financial inclusion. On the back of the GEM, that is Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and Mobile Trinity, the population covered with bank accounts has increased from 53% to 78% in just 5 years. Close to 60% of the welfare and subsidies budget of union government is transferred directly to the bank accounts of beneficiaries. The other example, of course, is of UPI, the ubiquitous payments interface. In the calendar year 2022, UPI processed over 74 billion transactions. Over half of these transactions were below 200 rupees. Earlier this week, India and Singapore have linked their respective online payment systems for seamless cross-border transactions between the two countries. The revolutionary UPI model is also being exported to other countries of the world. I believe corporations too have a pivotal role to play in ensuring sustainable and inclusive growth. The Aditya Birla Group, as you all know, has been core to the India's economic evolution. Grasim, the flagship country of the Aditya Birla Group, and a company that I have the privilege to lead, was formed 10 days after India's independence. It was formed with the purpose of providing fiber to clothe India and helping our country achieve self-sufficiency in man-made fiber. And that purpose continues to inspire us even today. From our journey and own experiences, and from observing the journey of other businesses and economies, I would like to share with you 3 broad principles that I believe can help drive sustainable and inclusive growth. The first is the importance of broadening our perspective of stakeholders of business and economy. It is now being recognized by many successful businesses that they exist to serve a multitude of stakeholders, including the employees, customers, suppliers, the environment, and the society at large, beyond just the shareholders. When decisions and actions are evaluated and taken, keeping the interest of this broader set of stakeholders in mind, it becomes easier to weave sustainability into growth strategies. This socio-economic concept of trusteeship was championed by our group's patriarch, Mr. G.D. Birla, almost 75 years ago. And it continues to guide us, our business thinking, even today. Second is the principle of thinking long-term rather than being preoccupied with short term. This shift in emphasis is crucial to make the right choices about technology or sourcing practices that align growth with sustainability. The third and one of the most important aspects is to look at imperatives as opportunities as much as they may be challenges. At a country level, for instance, the energy transition is also being responsible to spurt of investment and possibility of creation of green jobs. In businesses too, we find that the pursuit of sustainability implies better relationships with the communities, customers, and investors. Many times, technologies that reduce emissions also lead to operational cost savings for the future and enhance competitiveness, even though they may involve upfront capex. There have been studies to show that companies that focus on ESG in right earnest perform better in financial terms as well over a period of time. Thus, it is important to recognize that transformation towards making the businesses sustainable has many opportunities embodied in the process as well. This transformation journey is the one we all need to embark on, and this is a great place to make a beginning. The Madras Management Association is one of the best management associations in the country. It has a great track record, some of the best management minds in the world, and it is rightly called the fountainhead of excellence. This MMA audience of future thinkers and future shapers is perhaps the best one to carve out a new path. The young managers of today will be writing the success stories of tomorrow. You are the ones who will shape India's century, who will determine just how sustainable and inclusive it will be. It is therefore a time for a new approach to the way we plan the future, so that India's century is a more sustainable and inclusive one. And we do justice to our Prime Minister's clarion call of Amrit Kal, a glorious period of growth and prosperity that awaits us, with Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas becoming a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Agarwal, for a very, very thought-provoking address and the message of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. May now invite Mr. Suresh Raman, President MMA, to honor the guests of the evening. May I request Mr. Mahalingam and Mr. Unnikrishnan to join them on the dais, please. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. H K Agarwal, thank you, sir, for taking time off to be with us this evening and delivering the valedictory address. Mr. Arun Maira, thank you so much for being with us this evening. Thank you, Mr. Suresh Raman. Thanks a lot. May I now invite Group Captain Vijayakumar for a special announcement, please.
Once again, my privilege, you all aware, a convention of this magnitude cannot be organized unless we have a leader who are passionate, inspiring, and take the entire convention committee with him. Start designing almost 8-9 months before the convention date. Identify the speakers, identify the convention theme, identify the sponsors. There's so many nitty-gritties to be spent, especially when you have speakers from all over India coming and talking to us and going back. And I must place on record our sincere appreciation for Mr. Mahalingam Mali, who will be a convention chairman, steered the entire team so well, and that's why we are able to present a great convention. Now, may I request President MMA to, on behalf of all the convention committee and management committee, as a token of our appreciation, present a memento to Mr. Mali. Mr. Mali, please step forward.
Thank you, Mr. Mahalingam. I may request Ms. Shankar also to join him. So please come over. So, ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause to Mr. Mahalingam. He's been the convention chairman right from the, from the idea of this convention until its fruition, what we are seeing today. He's been chairing everything. Thank you so much, Mr. Mahalingam. It's been a great convention indeed. Thank you. May I now invite Mr. Mahalingam to propose the formal vote of thanks.
Group captain, that was unacceptable. You stole my thunder, I had something else in mind. Okay. First of all, let me thank Mr. Arun Maira and Mr. Agarwal. I think truly inspiring. At the end of the day, to listen to such inspirational words when our minds are not fully attentive, and you inspired us even at this late hour, Mr. Agarwal and Mr. Maira. Thank you so much. Thanks, Uni, for the welcome speech. Okay. I had a formal word of thanks. I'm going to set aside for a moment and say something from my heart. I tell you what. First, let me start by thanking the audience. I can tell you. Okay. I think it's been a fantastic audience. The hall was filled most of the day. Honestly, I didn't expect it. Vijayakumar was confident as usual. I didn't expect it. And a hall of this size, when we were discussing this in the committee, we thought we had overstretched ourselves. I think we could have done with more, actually. Thanks, audience, for staying so long and coming in such large numbers. Now it's my turn to return the compliment, and I got that memento. Actually, I wish I had something planned for Mr. Vijayakumar. I'll tell you, he's been the heart and soul of not only MMA but this convention as well. We have had speakers saying no to us 48 hours before, said don't worry, and we had a replacement. Okay, every small thing from planning, execution. I think Vijayakumar and his secretariat are among the best organizations I've seen in this space. Mr. Vijayakumar, please call your team also whenever. Thank you, Mr. Vijayakumar. Really. Now let me do the formal bit of it. I would first start by thanking McKinsey and company for associating with MMA and conceptualizing and designing the convention. Incidentally, it struck me when Naveen mentioned that they've been involved for 13 years with us, and we have won the Best Management Association Award for 13 years now. I think we are rubbing off on each other. Good luck, I think. Thanks to McKinsey. Specific thanks to Mr. Naveen Oni and Mr. Alphonse Matthew of McKinsey and the company for all their support. I don't know if any of them are here. Sure. Congratulate all the teams which won the Young Managers Award. It was truly inspiring, and all the girls and boys on stage, all the women and men on stage, truly heartening to see all of you. Congratulations and best wishes for your future. Thank the panel of judges for the competitions. I think young managers for evaluating written the time they took off. I must mention in the context, I wish to thank all the speakers and the panelists of today who took the trouble of coming from various places in India and time off if they're here. We had a fantastic panel of speakers, galaxy of speakers, nearly all stars there, who gave us perspective from multiple angles. And at the end of the day, I think, as I said in the beginning, in the welcome speech, all of us are wiser, and hopefully all of us will introspect on what we heard today and act on them to make India, in the next century India's, and make it more sustainable, in a more sustainable and inclusive manner. Thanks to all the speakers who honored us with their presence and wisdom today. I wish to thank the distinguished past presidents, invitees of MMA committee members. A convention of this magnitude cannot be organized without the support and involvement of industry and organizations. Most important part of the word of thanks, the list you see there, which kept the list of sponsors. They are the lifeline of such events. We thank each of them. We thank our media partner business line and all these people who made this happen and make it happen year after year after year. Many of the sponsors have been sponsors for a long, long time to MMA. Thank you, sponsors. Thanks to again, delegates, for all of you for attending. I thank the management committee headed by Mr. Suresh Raman, President MMA, my colleagues in the convention committee and MMA management committee. Without your support, Suresh, and the entire team, we couldn't have pulled this off at all. Thank you so much. And I should say, mention this, during the process of inviting speakers, Suresh played a very, very key role. Thank you, Suresh, for doing this. Yeah. Also thank all of those who are watching the convention live from all over the world and listening live on MMA radio. Hope some of you are online even now. But if you are, thanks to all of you and those who attended also. Thank you. I would like to thank the members of the media for the presence and coming in the MMA annual convention. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of it online and in the press tomorrow. Thank you again. And I wish to finish where I started. Thank Mr. Vijayakumar and the secretary team for making this convention wonderful. Thank you. Nandri Vanakkam. Jai Hind.